Hi everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of StudyIQ IAS in English. My name is Bhanwar Singh, India 115th course and qualified civil services in 2012. And I welcome you on the platform. Now in this session, we'll be talking about Delhi's recent EV policy that had been announced, and ultimately this is about killing two birds with the same stone that we are talking about. Now over here, what has happened is that there is the investment, the future investment or the planned investment of 15,000 crore rupees that had been announced for the period of 4 years, that is from 2026 to 2030. And this policy will be applicable, or it will come into effect from 1st of July 2026. And the new petrol two-wheelers registration, they will end in 2028. So the Delhi cabinet, it has approved the new policy or the 4-year EV roadmap that fuses the two crises into one fiscal instrument. We are talking about the chronic, urban pollution and as well as the Hormuz-linked energy security shock that we are talking about. Now, industrial leaders, they have called it as a national benchmark, but at the same time, we have the gig workers. They have called for the safeguards as well. Now, this connects to your GS paper 3. That is where we talk about the energy security and conservation and even the EV policy and the urban mobility transition as well. Now, when it comes to the gig workers dilemma, this is very important because this new, policy that had been announced by the government. So it is over here. There is the earning supplementary income by the gig workers. So they actually have the motorbikes or they have the motorcycles, and that is basically the personal two-wheeler that they have. And now they must upgrade it to the EV, all right, to stay into the aggregator's fleet or exit it. The policy offers that there will be up to 30,000 rupees that will be provided per vehicle. But at the same time, the commercial EV financing, it runs at 15 to 20% of the interest rate. And the mandate, basically, it applies retrospectively from the 1st January 2026. So this is where we are talking about that the environment policy, which had been written for the city, actually, it is colliding with the livelihood earned one delivery at a time. And that is why this complete issue is quite important, because it raises the big question, and that is, can an environmental mandate be just if it does not finance the transition for those the least able to afford it? So that is the question that we'll be moving ahead with and trying to find the answer. But at the same time, we are, moving ahead, let me tell you that you have this offer that is there on the platform of StudyIQ today, where you are getting the 50% off and even the double validity. Now, this offer is only for 30th June. All right, that is the end date or the last date where we have the admissions which are also closing, and you can enroll into the P2I batches, that is resolution P2I batch for the English medium, where you can use the code that is the BRS Live that will fetch you this discount or the maximum discount that we have on the platform. Now, coming towards the complete issue that we have, that is about EV mobility or the EV transition. So, it was in the 1990s and 2000s where we have the MC Mehta cases that were there filed in the Supreme Court through the PIL, that is the public interest litigation. And here what happened was that through the judicial activism, there was the force of the complete change for the Delhi's bus fleet. The whole of the bus fleet of the Delhi, it was changed from the diesel to the CNG, and Article 21 was extended to include the right to clean air as well. In 2015, there was FAME 1 that was launched by the union government to subsidize the pilot EV or electrical vehicle fleet deployments, and there were the early technology trials that were conducted under the FAME 1. Then in 2020, there was the 1.0 EV policy that was released by the Delhi, which actually focused upon the financial purchase incentives with a soft target of 25% of the EV registration share by 2024. And now in 2026, we are talking about 2.0, the EV policy 2.0, which shifts from the optional incentives to the hard registration bans and even the pure battery EV support and even the 15,000 crore of the outlay that had been provided under the new policy. Now, it is about that who pays the financial toll for the clean air. It is about Ramesh, who is an auto rickshaw driver. Now he faces a 80,000 green, premium, switching from the CNG to electric, and this shift is clean. But at the same time, what about the debt burden? That is basically personal burden for Ramesh. And maybe it is Sunil, who is a gig delivery worker and rider who relies on the second-hand petrol bikes, like for example, which could be purchased for nearly about 30,000 rupees for his survival. Now, the EV demands steep upfront capital that he lacks. And again, when it comes to the infrastructure paradox, it is about the informal workers. They lack the dedicated garage parking as well. They do not have the dedicated garage parking, and that makes over here the private slow charging, because we know that we have the EV chargers that are installed. But at the same time, there are private, you can charge your EV at your home as well. That is a slow charging, but they do not have the garage parking. And ultimately, that makes the private slow charging impossible. They actually rely solely on the public networks. And that is a paradox, and that is what is about that who will pay for the clean air. Now, Cabinet's approval, it has converted a consultative draft into the enforceable policy, and its real teeth are the phase registration bans. Now, there will be two bans that had been announced by this policy. The first one is that there will be no electric only, there will be no new electric only auto rickshaws or NVN goods carriers from 1st of January 2027. All right, there will be only the electric only auto rickshaws that will be permitted. And also no new petrol and the CNG two-wheeler registration that will be from 1st of April 2028. So over here, the vehicles which are there, the existing petrol or the diesel vehicles, they will be unaffected. But at the same time, over here, you can see that this is basically about the stock flow policy and not a ban on what's already which is there on the road. So if you have the vehicles, which is basically the private vehicles, you have the petrol or the diesel vehicles, they won't be affected by the recent policy change that we are talking about. Now, this all article or this all, the new policy that we are talking about, it relates to Article 21 that provides for right to life. And ultimately over here, the right to clean air was also extended to the right to life under the MC Mehta cases that were there. These were the various PILs which were filed for the environmental cause. It also relates to the Battery Waste Management Rules 2022, which is basically the backbone for the EPR on the EV batteries. Then there is PM E-Drive scheme as well that it relates to, which is the central scheme, which is about co-financing the charging infrastructure rollout. It also relates to Delhi Green Budget 2026-27, where there is already 8,374 crore rupees which had been allocated to transport and even the clean mobility. And this also pertains to air pollution mitigation action plans, because it sets now 2026 deadline for BS6, CNG and EV only goods vehicle entry to Delhi. So that is where we see that this complete policy, it relates to the various provisions that are there. But at the same time, we can see the global, framework as well. Now, when it comes to China, in China, we have Shenzhen, which have achieved 100% electric bus and taxi fleet. And this was basically supported by the massive state capital. There was direct municipal debt and also a strong partnership with the local manufacturer BYD. Then when it comes to the Norway, so in Norway, the model was driven by the heavy carbon taxes on the internal combustion engines and toll exemptions for the EV vehicles. And ultimately that have made the EVs cheaper than the petrol alternatives, and thereby the people switch to the EV with the little reliance from the direct subsidies from the state. Now, when it comes to Delhi, so this is a tailored for the market dominated by the two-wheelers and also the three-wheelers with a large informal workforce. So it relies on tapering subsidies, private partnership and the targeted bans. That is what the Delhi model is all about. Now, this is very important because this will it will lead to the domino effect. Now, there is a policy notified and enforceable. Now, the industry, it hails it as the national benchmark. At the same time, the manufacturers, they will scale up the EV two-wheeler production, and the gig workers, they will face the fleet exit risk without the adequate financing. And also, there will be other states, they will study the Delhi's financial or the fiscal design as a replicable template. And this could be used all over the India as well if that gets success. Also, when it comes to the various charger, we have the charger reliability. So over here, when it comes to the charger reliability as well, we can see the comparison. The comparison is in UK, where the average annual uptime mandate is 99% for the rapid chargers. And there is 24/7 helpline and penalties for the non-compliance that exist in United Kingdom. When it comes to the California in USA, there is 97% of the uptime requirement. There is charge point operators who must share the real-time availability data as well through the website and the apps which had been developed. But when it comes to Delhi, so in Delhi, you can see that there are nearly about 9,000 of the public chargers as compared to the estimated need of 36,000 of the chargers that should be there. And there is no codified uptime standard yet, which had been released by the government. Again, that is where the government has to work upon if it wants to move or switch over to the electric vehicles. Now here you can see that Delhi is betting that one policy lever, it can fix two of the crises which are there. The first one is clean air, because we have seen that Delhi and the NCR region, it every time annually it suffers from the pollution and also the energy security. So this is about killing the two of the birds with the same stone. If execution and even equity keeps the pace, we may see that the Delhi will transition towards the cleaner mobility and also towards the cleaner air and even the energy security as well. So that would be all in this session. I hope that this is understandable or understood by every one of you. And ultimately, that would be all in this session. But I will see you in the next. So till then, please take care of yourself and also do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more such future updates. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care and Jai Hind.